Have a really dishy outfit that you are absolutely dying to wear but no bag to match it? We have a solution for you. Why don't you make one that matches and complements your outfit? In this video, we will learn to make a trendy sling bag. Fun to carry and great for carrying all the little knickknacks you need for a party or a day out with friends. To make this bag, you will need a piece of fabric of your choice measuring 23 by 13 inches. As you can see here, we have taken a lovely bright piece with geometric waves, fusing and lining fabric of the same measurement, a marker, 2 small strips of fabric measuring 2.5 inches, a magnetic button for closure, a chain for attaching. Do note this should be of length that you are comfortable with, a seam ripper, a pair of scissors, a few pins and an iron. The first step is to download the draft of the sling bag from our website, ushasew.com. Now that you have the draft, let's move on. Place the shiny side of the fusing fabric face down on the wrong side of the printed fabric. Iron on the printed fabric with the fusing fabric below. Once the fabrics are fused, place it back over the lining fabric with the printed fabric facing you. Lay open the draft over the fabric. Pin it in place. Outline the draft onto the fabric with the help of a marker. Carefully and precisely cut along the marked lines to get the fabrics in shape of the draft. Notice there are 2 points on the draft, here and here. They are the 2 parts of the magnetic button. Mark both the points on the top layer of the fabric. Remove the pins one by one. Place the draft over the lining fabric to mark the 2 magnetic button points. Place the magnetic button over the lining fabric, like this. Hold it and make the marks align to the prongs here. Now make 2 small straight lines just as shown. About 1.5 inches from the corner, align to the markers. With the help of the seam ripper, make a 1/4 inch slit on these marked lines. Insert the prongs of the magnetic button into the slits. Place the button ring from behind into the prongs and flatten out the prongs. This is one part of the magnetic button. Now let's move on to the other part of the button. The opposite part of the magnetic button needs to be fixed on the printed and fusing fabric, near the earlier marked point. Mark the 2 prongs of the button part and make similar lines to form 2 slits. Cut a small square of leftover lining fabric and place the square behind the fabric, aligning it with the 2 slits. Use the seam ripper to make 2 slits on it too. You can also pin the square piece to secure. Insert the prongs into the slits and place the ring through them with the lining fabric in between. Press out the prongs flat to hold the button piece in place. The lining fabric will help secure the button better. Cut out the extra part of the lining fabric. Next, place the lining fabric over the printed fabric with the right sides of both facing each other. Pin them in place. Mark 2 points 4 inches apart at the bottom of the fabric. These are your sewing points. We will begin sewing from one point, go all around and end at the other marked point. The opening will allow us to turn the fabric right side out once we finish sewing. Now that the prep is done, take a deep breath. It's time to finally start sewing. Turn the stitch pattern selector to A for straight stitches. Set the stitch length at 2.5. Start sewing. Remember to lock stitch the beginning and the end. Ensure that the needle point is in the fabric when you turn around the edges. Remember to take out the pins as you sew along. Trim the thread when done. Now that both pieces are attached, we will do a zigzag stitch on all sides to give it a neat and strong finish. Turn the stitch pattern selector to C for zigzag stitch and set the stitch length at 1.5. Sew the sides using the zigzag stitch along the edges, following the straight stitch. After trimming the extra thread, turn the bag right side out through the gap you had left. See how it's being done here. Pay particular attention while turning the corner points inside out. Ensure they come out in their proper shape. You can use the seam ripper to pull out the corners neatly. A quick hack here, you can also use a wooden chopstick to push out the corners. Iron the edges to give them a firm shape. Fold the edges along the open slit as shown and pin it. Fold the fabric in half to give it the shape of a bag and pin it in the center. Next, we will sew along all the sides of the bag. While sewing the side seams, we will also fold the two strips of matching fabric, which you need to fold and stitch, and insert them at both the edges like this. They will hold the chain sling. Set your machine pattern selector to A for straight stitch and set the stitch length at 2.5. Begin by sewing the top edge, keeping the bag like this. Stitch only the top horizontal edge and ensure the back side is not stitched together. After finishing the top edge, we will sew the side seams together. Here, insert the narrow fabric strip into the chain. Fold the strip and place it between the two side seams. Sew along the side seam. Remember to reverse stitch at the ends. You don't want your precious knick-knack slipping out of the peepholes in the corner of your sling bag. Continue sewing along the flap of the sling bag and move on to the other side. Ensure the chain is straight while inserting the other strip. Fold the strip and place it between the side seams. Continue to sew the side seam. Once done, trim the extra threads and remove the pins. You can also embellish your bag with a decorative brooch. Your gorgeous sling bag is ready to be flaunted. That was fun and the result even more fun. Check out our other bag tutorials to add your own range of bags to show off. The more, the merrier.